The more I learn about purpose and the more I align my life to my purpose, the more I understand masculinity. And it's not what you may think. A lot of people think masculinity is about being aggressive or hostile. Some people think it's about being providing and strong. Not quite. But first, we need to understand that masculinity and femininity is on a scale. So one side is masculine, one side is feminine. For me, I think I'm around 60 to 65% masculine and 35 to 40% feminine. So you're always on this spectrum. Most people will not be one side completely unless Giga Chat is watching. So just roughly think, where are you on this spectrum? And the thing is, for guys, where you are on the spectrum, you're probably way less masculine than you are supposed to be. Like, ask yourself this question, without any social conditioning, just naturally, how masculine would you be? For me, honestly, it'd be 80 to 90% masculine and 10% feminine. Think about that. Think about it. 100 years ago, this video wouldn't even be needed because everyone just understood. No one pretended like they didn't know what a man was. They just knew what being a man is and they just did it. They were disciplined, way more disciplined than people nowadays. They did the hard work, especially when they didn't feel like it, and they took responsibility for the people around them by protecting and providing for their families and brothers. And only recently do people go against traditional masculinity because nowadays we're safe. We don't really need it too much. But in times of crisis, when there's a fire, when there's a dangerous person, when you call for help, you expect masculine men to arrive. When you call for the police, for the fire department, you want masculine men to arrive to get the job done. The reason I feel so strongly about traditional masculinity is because, one, it's necessary, and two, it actually works. Like, I would be okay with the new modern movements of masculinity, whatever the feminists are talking about right now, and the blue-haired people. I would be okay with their version of masculinity if it actually made people happier. But throughout my life, when indulging in the modern world, it doesn't work, it doesn't lead to anywhere, it doesn't lead to happiness or fulfillment. But then every step I take to be more goal-oriented, to feel more like what would traditionally be classed as a man, it's felt right every step of the way. And I think guys should be able to say that, yeah, they want to be traditionally masculine without being labeled a misogynist. And you may be like me where you know you're supposed to be more masculine. You would actually be happier if you're more masculine. But first we have to ask ourselves, what actually is masculinity? Masculinity is knowing who you really are, and this gets really spiritual. If I ask you who you are, you would just say your name, right? But that's not you, that's the name that your parents gave to you. That's not the real you. You might say that, oh, this is me, my body, but you don't say I am hand, I am leg. Like if Elon shoved a wire up your ass and uploaded your consciousness into a machine and your body flopped over in a coma, you would say that I, the real me, is in the machine. I'm not in the body anymore. The body isn't me. So the real you is the consciousness behind everything. You are inside your body. You are not your body. The thoughts, the emotions, the feeling and sensation that your body feels isn't you. They just come and go. Those things can change hundreds of times a day, but the real you is the thing that doesn't change. It's the thing that's behind everything. So to visualize it, let me explain like this. It's like a cruise ship. You are like the cruise ship sailing on the ocean, and the emotions, the thoughts, those are the changing things. The wind, the waves, everything that crashes into you. The ocean changes. The waves will crash into it, the wind will blow, the rain will storm, but the cruise ship still moves. You are the cruise ship. Everything around the cruise ship changes every couple seconds. The waves never stay still, but the cruise ship continues on its path. That is the real you. The real masculinity is being able to find a goal, find a purpose, and no matter what happens around you, that is your destination and you go towards it. If you want to visualize it in a person, think about a soldier. Imagine like a soldier in World War II. He has a rifle, he's in the trenches, and they're all about to storm the enemy. And moments before he charges, every single cell in his body tells him to not go. He's being pumped full of hormones and chemicals that tell him fear, doubt, don't go, dangerous. Literally, for all he knows, this could be his last minutes on Earth, but he still goes. He does it anyway because no matter how you feel, you can still focus on the mission. That is masculinity. Masculinity is understanding that those emotions, the fear, the doubt, everything doesn't have to change course. The waves can crash into the ship, but that doesn't mean the ship has to change course. The emotions are not you. They are simply part of you. Masculinity is being able to separate the real you from the things that you feel, because you are not what you feel. You are the consciousness that feels and sees those things as they are, which is just feelings. And so a lot of people falsely believe that masculinity is about bottling up your emotion. Oh yeah, it's toxic. Toxic masculinity is about, it's gonna cause depression. No, a feminine man will feel angry and say, I'm angry, because he literally becomes angry, like I am angry. That's the phrasing of his sentence. But a masculine man, when he feels angry, he just says, I feel angry. I'm not the anger, I just feel it. But just because I feel angry at this person, does that mean I have to punch him? Does this mean that I have to shout at him? No. So I hope it's clear that masculinity is not about bottling up your emotions. It's about controlling your emotions and not letting your emotions control you. Bars. And don't listen to these influencers that tell you that masculinity is about like fucking a bunch of bitches and getting a lot of money, because that is just their way to excuse their undisciplined behavior. Oh, a man can sleep with a lot of women because if a key can unlock many locks, then it's a good key, but shut the fuck up, bro. They'll be Muslim to pretend to be like all purposeful and disciplined, but anyway, they're still gonna party and do haram shit, so what's the point? They're still bound by real world objects and shiny shit and the real world pleasures of like busting a nut. So what's the point? Clearly they're not very masculine if, you know, their cruise ship is going towards somewhere, and then when they see a pretty girl that they could bust a nut in, they changed course. This is why the more I align my life to my purpose, the more masculine I become. Masculinity doesn't mean having a big beard or bulging muscles or a massive cock. Those things symbolize masculinity, but masculinity at its core is simply just the focus on the mission. Alright, editing Ruff here. This video was supposed to be about masculinity, but I also want to quickly talk about femininity for the girls watching. So femininity is like the complement to masculinity. Masculinity is about stillness and not changing your direction, whilst everything else that changes is feminine. So the weather, your emotions, etc. These things are feminine. Femininity is more about allowing just things to happen, being in touch with your emotions and actually allowing yourself to feel them to the fullest extent. And then, you know, one thing I hear very often is, oh, but I'm a girl and I'm goal oriented, so I don't see what makes goals a masculine thing. And this doesn't mean that goals aren't a masculine trait. It just means that on the spectrum, you know, one side is masculine, one side is feminine, then you're on the spectrum, right? You're more towards the masculine side, which results in more masculine traits. So it's not that goals aren't a masculine thing, it's just that you're a masculine girl. An important thing to know is that your energy is not bounded by your gender. So feminine males exist, masculine females exist. So the question I have for the girls, and it's really the same question for the boys, is this your natural energy? Are you supposed to be here? Like if you imagine the spectrum, right? Are you supposed to be here? Or are you just here because school or society told you to be here? Because it's quite interesting that feminism has made girls more masculine, because feminism told girls that they could work more, they could be more goal-oriented. Well, those are masculine traits. So are you actually where you're naturally supposed to be, or did someone influence you to change yourself? Generally, what I see is that males are more feminine than they're supposed to be, and females are more masculine than they're supposed to be. So again, this is something that you have to find out for yourself. Step 1 is to look at the spectrum that I've explained. Step 2 is to see where you are in the spectrum. And step 3 is to see where you would naturally actually want to be. Think about it like without anyone's expectations, without society's influence, just naturally, where would you be? Right, I'm giving you the awareness of this concept because younger me was unhappy, this little soy boy controlled by his impulses, but he didn't know that this lifestyle, this change was a thing. Instead of striving for goals in real life, bro was like striving for level 100 in Hypixel Bed Wars. I directed that goal-striving energy that I had into the wrong things that I didn't even really care about, but I was just addicted to them, so I wasn't aware. So are you doing the exact same thing? That's for you to decide. Usually boys raised by mothers will just end up this way. And it's not the mother's fault. Your mother is great. She's beautiful. Give me her number. As a kid, I loved competition. I loved climbing shit. I loved, you know, being super ambitious and thinking about what I could do. These are all signs of like higher testosterone. But perhaps maybe my grandma told me one time, oh, don't do that. That's dangerous. Whilst if you had masculine influences in your life, they'd be like, no, it's okay. Climb the tree. Do that. It's okay. He falls, what's the worst that could happen? And obviously this isn't my grandma's fault or anything. But for us guys that know we're supposed to be more masculine, now is the time to really level that up. Do the masculine thing, and no matter what society tells you, no matter how they influence you and the waves crash into you, stay on the course. Become more masculine. No matter what happens, you can always choose to do the right thing. And every step you take to becoming more masculine feels like the right thing. You are not your thoughts, you are not your body. After this video, you are just your consciousness. Nothing else can influence you. Choose a goal, pursue it. Because that is when a masculine person feels alive. Take action. Alright, I'm on the masculine grind, so I gotta record another video, so give me a kiss. Mwah.